Hey everybody, welcome to Testimony House. New John Simmons here with you, where we make videos to help you write God's sentence for your life and become the new you. I am so excited to finally introduce the woman behind the scenes, my special bride,
Megan Simmons.
Megan Marie Simmons. Welcome to the show, babe.
Thanks. It's only been 10 years.
It's been 10 years. I finally decided to invite her on the podcast, video, whatever we call these nowadays. For people who don't know about our family, why don't you give them a little insight into our little family?
All right. Well, John and I here have been married for 10 years. Made it a decade so far.
That's right.
And we have 4, almost 5 amazing children. Maya's 9, James is 8, Maisie is 5, and Jax is 3. And then this little one will come in June.
Very exciting times. So that's a little bit about us. In today's video, we are talking about Dave Ramsey, budgeting, and these types of things. In this video series that we've just started, this is our first video in this series, we're calling it Been and Gone, or Been and Going.
Been and going.
Been and Going.
Where we've been and where we're going.
Yeah, so in each video, we want to tackle a subject, something that we faced either in our parenting life, our marriage, and then talk also about some things that we're currently going through, and we might need your advice as well as have some thoughts of our own on the subject matter. So when we talk about money today, let's talk about where we were with money. Do you remember what it was like when we got married? Like what conversations were around money, if any, that you remember?
We really didn't have conversations about money. We just did our thing. We just got what we needed and went on with life. I wouldn't say we were like racking up a whole lot of debt, but we just didn't have an eye on it.
We weren't paying any bills late. I would say that.
No.
We weren't mismanaging our money at all. But certainly, yes, we didn't have a real plan or direction for our money. And we bought a computer early on in our marriage. We bought just like odds and ends on credit cards and stuff. And then I wrote a couple books and we self-financed some of those books. So some of those things started to just accumulate. And one day we woke up and we had, do you remember how much?
$60,000?
$60,000. Come on down.
Now, in our defense, a lot of that was my student loans.
Yes.
So it wasn't, I would say we were like going crazy with using our credit card, but because a lot of that was student loans, but
yeah,
we weren't managing well.
And when I came into the marriage, I was debt free, but I certainly had my own history with money. I had a former gambling addict, and I had spent and lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in my addiction. And so I was clean, and I had been delivered from my sin. And when we got married, and so I hadn't been gambling my money away, but I still at this point hadn't learned how to manage it. And I was content because of where we were in life. Like, hey, the bills are getting paid on time. And for me, that was a victory.
Yeah.
Because, like, I spent a decade or more not paying any bill on time. So the fact that the mortgage was getting paid and I didn't have to call my friends or my mom or whoever to help me bail me out was like a victory for me. So I didn't really see much further down the road past, hey, we're good.
Yeah.
And so for you, because I was paying all the bills, I had my hands on it. And you were sort of giving me the reins of that. How did that feel for you, just not being worried about it?
I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah, I don't remember you having a lot of questions either.
No. I was in the boat of things are getting paid, so I don't need to worry about it.
Is it weird though? I mean, so you're married to this guy who used to be gambling, right? And you're just like, hey, go ahead, dude, you got this.
I mean, from the outside, yes. I'm sure many people were like, what the heck? You're letting him take care of the money? But from my perspective, I married you. I trust you.
Yeah.
And you had not given me any signs of, mismanaging money or, that you were gambling again. So I had no reason to be worried about the money. Things were getting paid.
You thought. We didn't have budget meetings back then, so I mean, you were just taking my word.
I was taking your word. Our lights were still on. Our woofer was still on.
You never woke up and the internet was off. That's true.
Yeah.
So there weren't any of those kinds of signs. The first time that I remember really thinking about finances was I was working at the Lifeway Christian bookstore down the street from our old house, and I kept walking by the personal help section, and there was like all sorts of books, and I'd read a bunch of them. But one of the books was a book by Dave Ramsey. He had this credit card on the front, and you'd like chop it up with the scissors. I never paid any attention to that book. A lot of people came into the bookstore and bought it. It was a popular book. But a few years later, when I was working at the radio station, another Christian radio station in town, they kept playing the Dave Ramsey show over and over and over again during my shifts. And I'm listening to these people call in talking about their money problems and talking about getting out of debt and talk about how they manage their money and making a budget.
Yeah.
And this was like the first time that like I had a revelation understanding that like it's not just good enough to make sure the bills are paid. Like you need to know where your money's going. You need to know when it's going to get there. You need to know what are you going to need your money for in the future. Do you need to save it and do these kinds of things? Because we had no plans for the future.
Right.
Do you remember it, like, even vaguely? Like,
No.
we had a plan to, like, go to all 50 states, but we didn't have a plan for how we were going to pay for it. We were just like, eventually we'll pay for it. You know? So, I started really listening intently to those shows, and all of a sudden I wanted to get the book that I passed up a couple years ago. Do you remember me bringing the idea of, like, budgeting or Dave Ramsey to you?
I do, and I was like, oh, no. Okay, let's do it.
Hold on.
That's pretty much me.
Speak to the ladies out here who are just out here letting their husbands pay all the bills and make all those kinds of decisions. Because some people be like, I'm going to let him do that, so I need to do that stuff. Or
Like, do you trust your husband, or do you not?
and in some relationships, the woman does that kind of stuff. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either.
Right. Yeah. Like typically in relationships I've heard of, or I've encountered, one does the finances and one has no clue. And in our relationship, I have no clue.
That's not entirely true, because once we got started with the budget, we started having monthly
Yes.
budget meetings. But yeah.
Yes.
But speak more to these people. Is it okay? Is it okay for them to have it? Not know, I mean.
I think you should have some idea of what's going on. But I do think it's okay that you don't have to be the one who's pressing the button and actually sending the bill every month. But you should have an idea of what's going on.
If I was not able to pay some of the bills next month, would you know?
No.
But you have all the passwords and stuff to all our accounts. They are written, you know,
They're written somewhere. They're somewhere in the budget folder. I would eventually figure it out. But no, I don't know how to just log on
And so that was part of going through this process, though. So I brought home all of Dave Ramsey's teachings, and I was like, we got to start doing a budget. So we wrote down all the things that they taught us to write down. So you write down your income, and then you write down all the bills you had. So this was the first time I'd ever done it as an adult or as a young person. Like, so I'm 30-something years old. I got a family, a wife. You were probably pregnant when all this, because this was 2016. So we had a 1-year-old at home when we started this.
Yeah.
So we got diapers, and we got mortgage, and we got lights and electric, and we got some credit card bills we're paying down. And so we write all this stuff down, and we get to the $60,000, and we're like, wait a second, that's a lot for one. We had no idea. We were just out here just living our life.
Yeah, it was a bit of a revelation when you write it all down and you see it all. You're like, we pay for all that?
In my head, I'm like,
And we
well,
have
we owe
all
$1,000.
We have all that debt?
Yeah.
We have that many loans out?
There's a lot. And so it was a lot of overwhelming information at first. And so we wrote this down, and then we realized almost immediately that, like, we were spending more a month than we had coming in. Now, at that point in our marriage, our income wasn't what it is today. So we were newlyweds. I was working a part-time job. You had just gotten started in your career, and I was at home with the baby most of the time while you worked. So we had this different dynamic financially than we do now. And so what we had to do at first was start cutting. Do you remember? Like, no TV. We cut the TV off. We started doing streaming. We only had like one Netflix
We used
account.
to have cable
In the very beginning of our marriage.
we?
Yes. We bought cable. It was like the first year of our marriage we had cable. Or at least for part of it. And then there were some other things we had to cut out.
Cut it out.
And then we started doing the snowball method, which is you pay down your smallest bill first. And then you made a little thing I'll even put on the screen, the little chart that we made that we would color in each time we paid off the debt. And so we really got involved with a monthly budget meeting, trying to figure out what should go on the budget, what doesn't need to, budgeting in things we've never thought of, like haircuts and doctor's appointments. And
Birthday gifts.
yeah, birthday gifts, a big one.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're a big fan, we got to buy 20 gifts every single month for these parties. You know what I'm saying? She has a huge family, guys, and so
It's a
they have
little
monthly.
extra.
They have monthly birthday parties, and it's like got to take out a loan to go to February's birthday.
That's
party.
not true. That's what it probably felt like when we budgeted it.
I come from a small family, and we've exchanged birthday presents to each other maybe once 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a different environment. If where two people are the same, they're not needed. So, hey, God brought two different types of people together. We got going on the budget. We were really all in on the Dave Ramsey plan. Do you remember how long it took?
15 months? No?
4 years.
4 years.
Yes. We started Dave
Time
Ramsey.
flies.
Yeah, it flies when you're having fun. 2 kids later, and Maisie was about to. So we got debt free. We started.
Oh, yeah, right
Dave Ramsey.
after Maisie was born.
Yeah, so we started Dave Ramsey in 2016 doing the snowball method, and then it took 4 years to pay off $60,000 in debt. And then we took our little debt free scream picture in front of the house.
Woo!
What did it feel like?
I would say it was very satisfying every time we got to like color in on the thermometer thing,
Yeah.
and every time we like actually like got to close out a loan. That was very satisfying.
Yeah. Those were the first time, and and tell us your experiences with either budgeting or not budgeting or how you guys do money in your house. But for us, it was the first time that we wrote some big checks. Because it's one thing to have a bunch of bills, and yes, you got your mortgage payment, and you're used to paying that, and that's the big number typically most people are writing. But when you're trying to pay off debt, and we're increasing our finances over the 4 years, we're getting other opportunities to make some money, and so every time we had extra money, we'd throw it at the debt. And so some of these credit cards, some of your student loan payments that we were making were $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 in one chunk.
Yeah.
And you're like, a little bit.
I don't really want to pay that, but
Yeah. But it was a real eye-opening experience that the choices we had made without even thinking about it, about just like making sure both of us had a laptop or making sure we wanted to go on a trip and we could just go do whatever we wanted to do on the trip and not be thinking about like, well, maybe we should pick a different hotel, and making kind of just small decisions in life that led to the big debt. It was, Dave Ramsey calls it death by 1,000 cuts. We had just done all these little things and bought nice presents for each other at birthdays and Christmas time and went all out for the kids. Just did normal stuff.
yeah.
But it was freeing when you pay that last payment, and we still owe it on our house, so we didn't have our house payment paid
Yeah.
off. But that's Dave Ramsey considers that debt free. So we were debt free starting in 2020, and for 5 years we stayed debt free until just recently. So that's where we've been with our money. So let us know in the comments. Let us know what your marriage journey looked like with money. If you did the Dave Ramsey, what did you think, or good or bad about it? I would love to know the methods people were using in their own marriages to fight debt and trying to keep up with the Joneses. But for 5 years, we stayed debt free, and it was amazing, Megan.
Yeah.
What are some of the highlights you think from being debt free?
I don't know, just the freedom of not having those extra bills and being able to do some things that we had like waited to do, like buy nicer furniture.
Yeah, tell them about the table. This is a very important
the
table.
kitchen table.
Very important. Why is it important?
It's important because during those 4 years that we were working on being debt free, we had a terrible kitchen table. The chairs didn't match. I think one of the chairs was a folding chair, if I remember right. And I did not like that kitchen table. It was one of those tables that the top was tile.
Yeah.
So then like the kids can't sit there and like color because then they're getting in the grooves of the
Yeah,
tile.
the pencil goes through the paper.
Yes, it goes straight through the paper. So we really, really wanted a kitchen table, with matching chairs. But we were working on being debt free. So that was one of the sacrifices we had made for 4 years. Was we're gonna live with this kitchen table that we don't like. And that was like one of the first purchases we made once we were debt free was this table.
Yeah, because you said freedom. So when we had the money, it's like, okay, so now what? You know, you put your 15% towards your retirement, and you start saving for some of the kids' school. That was another thing that we got to do was almost right after we got debt free, we got to be able to put Maya in private school.
That's right.
For a year. Now we're doing homeschooling with the children, but that season we did private school. We self-funded that.
Yep.
The kitchen table. We got some nice couches in the living room.
Nice bedroom set.
Yeah.
Our mattress was on the floor for a bit.
Yeah, when we were first married, we had a mattress on the floor. Anybody else have a floor mattress out there? Gosh, I look back I felt like I was in college. I'm a grown up now. I'm a grown up. I like sitting on a big bed, a king size bed. You know what I'm saying? So when we were able to make those choices, though, it was all because we had been intentional about both sacrificing and knowing where our money was going. Because do you think we could have got there to the bed set, to the table, to the living room furniture without having done Dave Ramsey?
Not without putting it on a credit card.
Right. So it had just been piling on more and just making minimum payments on stuff. Well, I mean, what do you think our life looks like if it's like that?
I don't know.
I imagine it's stressful. I imagine we wake up one morning and just like, whew.
Where is our money going?
Yeah, and just feeling like we never have enough and we can't make it stretch and we can't make it work. So that's why being debt-free was so important to us. But now, 5 years later, we did the debt. So we got to tell them about the blessing, Megan. So we were all in on Dave Ramsey, and this is what we're talking about, where we've been, and then where we're going.
Where we're going.
So Dave Ramsey's done us a lot of good. We followed him consistently for years and years and years. And one of the things he teaches is that if you want to buy a car, buy it with cash. And so we saved up and we bought the blessing.
The blessing.
Tell me what the blessing is.
Oh, it's a lovely Town and Country Chrysler from 2010.
Yep.
Is that the right year? 2010 Town and Country, silver, glorious. And we call it the blessing to speak good things over it.
Why? Why did we have to speak
Because
good things?
we had to speak good things over it because it did not treat us well.
Yes.
This van had a mind of its own. The windows would go down just randomly. The doors would unlock randomly.
It would beep in the middle of the night.
But even though it unlocked randomly, no one stole it.
No one stole it. Please.
I don't think anyone
sometimes
wanted
we're
to
praying for
steal
somebody
it.
to take this thing.
No one wanted it.
When we bought it, we took it to get its first inspection, and the guy said that there were stolen parts on it. We had bought it. We had bought it private sale because we were trying to save money, trying to use cash, get the best deal out there on the market, and so we did all that.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting this lemon, basically.
Yeah.
And so we bought that van 3 years ago, and for 3 years the blessing has just been blessing us.
It's been blessing. In and out of the shop probably every other month.
Yeah.
It felt like.
I kept getting text message from my guy going, "Hey, you ready to get back up here? I need to pay my rent this month," because we basically bought every single piece of that car again that was installed in it originally. So a couple weeks ago, the blessing's down again. They're quoting us a giant, almost $4,000 bill to repair just some things on it. And at that point, we're just like, okay, all right, Lord, we've put so much money into this, and we've averaged over the history of the 3 years we had it over $550 a month in payments based on what we paid cash and also what we paid to get the repairs done. And so for that amount of money, we were like, well, we could have had a car payment for that and had a nicer car and almost had it paid off in 3 years. So we made the decision, not Dave Ramsey approved, to buy a new van.
Yes.
To grow our growing family.
Growing family.
We needed another seat.
It's time to get a van that didn't unlock itself.
And so we went shopping, and really, God bless us with the van, the opposite of the blessing. So if the Town and Country was everything we didn't want in a van, including it had like red carpet in the back in the trunk. Ugh, it's like murder carpet back there.
Not sure why it was red.
Not sure why it was red. And said, so we went from that and it having its mind of its own, like you said, to have this almost brand new blue. We've always wanted a blue van.
Yes.
with a DVD player in the backseat for the kids, and just your
Heated steering wheel.
making so excited.
I'm so excited for the steering wheel and heated seats and cooling seats. You gotta put the cool seats on and the hot steering wheel.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
a good time. It's a good time.
It's a good
What's
time.
not a good time is when you have to go to the dealership to get it fixed 3 days after you sign the paperwork and bring it home. Seriously. So apparently we have just not had the greatest luck. So we buy the second version of the blessing, the good version.
No, the good bird. A real true blessing.
Real true blessing. And within 3 days, we already have to take it in the shop because the windows wouldn't go down, or they wouldn't go up. And then we took it there, and they couldn't even get the car to start, Megan. They couldn't get the car to start. Almost brand new. They're like, there's electrical issues. The starter's broken on it. How? How does this happen to us? Why is this happening to us? So, maybe this was Dave Ramsey calling in a favor to the Honda. He said, I see them. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to buy a car in cash, and they got debt, and they got to get the car broken. So hopefully Dave Ramsey didn't do us dirty on that one. Yeah. So as we record this, our car is still in the shop.
Yes, but we have high hopes. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
It's going to turn out great. And this car is a true blessing.
Yeah. So in terms of where we're going, we don't want to have the debt of this car. We want to pay it off early. We don't want to pay payments for the month. We don't want to pay all that interest. We understand. And so we're going to put it back in our debt snowball. Even though Dave Ramsey's, we're making a decision to not buy a car in cash. We are making the decision to make extra payments on it until we can get it paid off early. So these are the things we're going through right now. The financial decisions that, 5 years ago, you wouldn't have told me I was going to buy another car with that. And in fact, in the history of our marriage, we've only had a car payment for 2 months.
Yeah.
Until just this last month.
Yeah.
That's big time. But all that is because we made the decision in 2016 to follow the Dave Ramsey method, or at least even if it's not Dave Ramsey, to just make it an intentional decision about how you're going to spend your money. We're married. We got to be on the same page about these things. The Bible talks about being in unity and being able to do things stronger and better than you can do by yourself. So it wasn't just like John making the decision about the money. We had constant conversations about how to spend it. Like right now, we're talking about landscaping.
Yeah.
And it's expensive.
It's expensive. So it's a conversation and many, many quotes of what do we really want? What can we really afford? What?
Yeah.
How much? Yeah. What are we going to spend on this? And where can what's a must and what's a want?
And that's after spending more than a year of her in the rock bed herself. We got rocks out in the front we don't want. You picking them out, putting them in the wheelbarrow and taking them to the backyard forest.
Yeah.
And so there is things that you do when you're married. We're trying to figure out, okay, what's the best decision? You don't always run into it right away. God's not always answering your prayers for revelation right away. For me, we could have found a way to get out of debt sooner if I would have picked up the Dave Ramsey book in Lifeway Bookstore and not waited until I got to the radio station to make good decisions about our money. And likewise, we might look back at these moments that we're going through now and say, when we talk about where we've been, future us's, have some better advice for current us's. So any encouraging words to somebody about what we're going through right now or what we've been through?
I would just say keep the communication open. Make sure you have monthly, weekly meetings with each other and really communicate about, where's the money at, where are we going, and make sure that you're on the same page about a plan. Yeah. What to do.
And husbands, give your wife all the passwords, put the apps on her phone. Even if she doesn't know how to pay the electric bill, just make sure she understands, like, she can go look at it if she wants to, so that we can be accountable to make sure that we're not going out there getting credit cards in our own name, doing stuff behind the scenes. Just keep everything on the table, and that way nothing can come up and bite you later because you're making decisions that she doesn't know about, and vice versa. In the same way, wives, don't be going, because I really want to get that thing from Amazon. My husband ain't going to let me put it on the budget list. Like, have a talk about it. Find a way. Like we're doing with. I don't necessarily care too much about landscaping, but she does, and so we make it a priority for the marriage and figure out what the best solution is, even if it takes a little bit longer to figure it out. So you can do all these things too. we've done it, and we're definitely not perfect. So let us know how you're working with money in your life today. And until next time, guys, we pray you discover a future and a hope for your life today.
We ain't trying to blend in. If you're ready, come on with us, my friends. Come on. We can change the world. Hey, hey, we can change the world. Let's go.
What changes the world? The only thing that ever really changes the world is when somebody gets the idea that love can abound and can be shared